back to Rivervale Road. Today's tutorial is how to make this beautiful wrap skirt. For the material, I'm using a lovely mid-weight linen, and we'll also need 2 hook and bars. This is optional, but if you have some iron-on interfacing, we can add this to the waistline of the skirt. The 2 measurements we're going to need to make our pattern today are just the waistline, at which place we want the skirt to sit, and the desired finished length. I've made mine just below the knee. So with those 2 measurements, we can go ahead and make our pattern pieces. We're going to have 1 big back pattern piece, and then we're going to cut 2 front pieces, and then just a waistband and 2 ties for, of course, tying the skirt together. These are super easy pattern pieces because they're all rectangles. To cut my pieces, I just use a fabric chalk and my tape measure to measure the rectangles straight out onto the fabric, and then I cut them out. So I cut the rectangles for the body of the skirt. We're going to have the 1 big back piece and then the 2 smaller front pieces. Then I cut the waistband, and lastly the 2 waist ties. To cut the tie so it will have a nice slanted edge, fold the tie in half like a hot dog and measure in 5 cm from the edge, and then mark it diagonally with the corner and cut out the triangle. You will only need to do this little cutout for one end of each tie. And repeat the same for the other tie. And if you do have the interfacing, cut that out for a waistband and the 2 ties and iron it on ready to go. So we shall start by making the ties. Pin and sew along the slanted edge and the long edge, leaving the short straight edge open. On the second tie though, leave about 4 cm unstitched at the end of the long edge. We will need this open so that we can sew it to the waistband. Once you've sewn the tie, cut a little nick at the corner so it sits nice and flat when we turn it out. Use a safety pin or a loop turner to turn the ties out the right way. Once the ties are out the right way, remember to give them a really good iron and press them flat. Now it's time to start piecing our skirt together. I'm sewing French seams so that the seam is all enclosed. French seams are made by firstly pinning and sewing the wrong sides of the fabric together. Only do about a 1 cm seam allowance and then trim the seam down to about ½ cm width. Give your seam a really good iron. Then we're going to turn the fabric out, and then we're going to pin with the right sides together and sew the seam just wide enough to enclose that first seam you stitched. Once you're done, give the finished seam another really good iron. Next we will need to do a really easy roll and roll hem along the 2 side edges and along the hem. To do a roll and roll, as you go, just stitching on the machine, fold the fabric up ½ cm and stitch close to the folded edge. Go all the way along those 3 sides. Then we shall repeat this again as you stitch. Fold up another ½ cm and this time stitch along your original stitch line to make a nice neat hem. Once you're done, give it a nice good iron, as always. And it's looking good! Time to gather the skirt. Change your machine to the longest stitch length and pull the machine threads extra long. At the top edge, sew your first row of long stitches about a foot width or ½ cm down. When you finish your row, do not reverse stitch. Instead, pull out the threads and keep them long, both on the skirt and on the machine. Because next we're going to sew another second row of long stitches, again a foot width or ½ cm down from your first row. Follow the same rules of no reverse stitching and keeping the long threads attached. Those long threads we left are so we can gently tug on the top 2 threads to start gathering the fabric. We will need to gather the skirt just enough for it to fit the length of the waistband. And it looks like a beautiful fabric accordion. For our next step would be to pin and sew the waistband to the top of the skirt. At one end we will fold in 1.5 cm on the short edge of the waistband. The top seam we're going to sew with a 1.5 cm seam allowance, And remember, before sewing this, to return your sewing machine to its regular stitch length. There it is, and as always, remember to iron the seam flat. Now we can sew our open-ended tie to the end of the waistband which we didn't fold in. To attach, we are going to pin and sew with the right sides together, and as always, once the seam is sewn, give it a good iron. To finish off the waistband, all we need to do now is fold under 1.5 centimeters just to hide the raw edge, and then fold the waistband over, sort of in half, and then we're going to pin it all along so it covers the seam. And we will need to sew in the ditch, which is going to be quite hard from the way that I'm pinning it and just showing you here in the video. I'd probably suggest actually pinning it and sewing it from the top rather than from underneath, just so you can see that you're making sure that you get just in under that fold line, like in the seam. There it is. You want to get it in there as close as you can, so that you can just top stitch that with the sewing machine. Now we are ready to fit the skirt. So we're going to need to wrap it around us on the body and work out where we like it sitting, and see where the side seams are sitting on the sides, of course. And then I'm just going to mark with pins here where we need to put our hook and bars so it has a nice secure closure. And while we're at it, we'll just pin and position the second tie there on the side as well. I'm sewing the bars to the underneath and the hooks to the top layer that wraps over. To hand sew these, we are going to need to thread a needle with a double thread and a little double knot at the end of the thread. Mark the pinpoints with chalk so that we won't lose where to place the hook and bars. And then we can sew the bars on by feeding the needle through the fabric and then through the holes of the bars. Thread the needle through the loops of thread as you come back down to make them extra strong. When you finish, knot the thread into the fabric to secure it. And we shall repeat the same for the other bar. And we can just follow the same process for the hooks, only that they have more holes to thread through and sew. So they'll just take a little bit longer. And lastly is to sew the other tie to the side of the waistband. Fold in the raw edges, then have the tie tip facing towards the back of the skirt. Sew a rectangle shape to attach it and then iron it so that the fold folds over the stitching and neatly knots together with the other tie. Just like so. That is the skirt all completed. Thank you so much for tuning into Rebelle Road. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel. It all means so much to me for all of your support. Thank you so much. And if you do make this skirt, I hope that you enjoy making it and enjoy wearing it. It's really, really beautiful, if I do say so myself. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time, and best wishes on all your sewing adventures.